Welcome back to Geeky Reviews. I'm your host, Michael Wilkerson, and this is going to be my review for Season 1, Episode 6 of The Flash, titled The Flash is Born. This episode premiered back on November 18, 2014. It opens up as The Flash is running through the streets of Central City again, but this time Iris is recanting the whole "I need you to believe in the impossible" speech that Barry gave at the beginning of the pilot. This I wasn't anticipating, but then I realized what this whole setup was about. Barry is, as the Flash, is still trying to convince Iris to stop writing about himself. Iris is, very relentless. She's trying to, bring hope to her friend and Barry. I get the intention behind it, but it still makes Iris feel like an idiotic character for putting her name to this blog. This was the first time when, after she put her name to the blog, that a metahuman is targeting her. And who would you know? It is somebody that they actually both know. Barry and Iris both know, Tony Woodward, who was basically Barry's bully growing up in high school or middle school or whatever that was. I'm guessing middle school. And basically comes back as a reformed metahuman that ends up getting metal skin. So he's basically a man of metal, I'm going to be calling it. They really wink to the whole idea of Man of Steel this episode. But at this point, I was questioning why they were doing that, because Central City would not know the name Superman, and Dr. Wells wouldn't either. But they really tried to entertain this idea, and I don't really understand why, considering they don't really know who this person is. They've only had one hero throughout Central City. Superman would be in Metropolis, so unless we're insinuating that everybody in Central City is just a big comic book nerd and knows the name Superman, I really doubt it. But this is a very comic booky show, and it's a CW and it's DC, and they're really excited about the intention about maybe bringing Superman into the CW universe, but that's still years away from even happening, so I don't really understand at this point why they're bringing it up. But it was very on the nose for them to introduce this whole concept with a man of metal, that type of thing. But I guess there just could have been a more more natural or organic way to name this metahuman. But I don't even think they even gave him a name. It's just literally like a man of metal that Barry ends up getting into a fight with and hurting and all that type of thing. But basically, it's this guy named Tony Woodward that is, comes back even stronger than ever, and Barry is too powerless to stop it. And on paper, I could see why this is an interesting idea and concept, but an execution and all, I feel like it fell very flat. The only reason I say that is because it really reminded me of how Disney Channel tackled the idea of bullying. And CW is in a similar situation with this episode. How they tackled it. And I think just the idea of Joe telling Barry it's okay to run the other way if you come into contact with somebody you can't outrun, and that type of thing. But I don't really know what the show's trying to tell me about it too much, beyond just being like it's okay to get up and run away and be a coward, that type of thing, if you can't defeat somebody. I get it, the intention, he's still learning to be a hero, but Flash basically gets his ass handed to him a lot this episode, so he felt very nuked by this guy. And I also kind of just wanted to know why this guy hated Barry so much, beyond him just being a nerd. I don't really understand the intention behind it. There's only literally one scene of them in the flashback with Iris and Barry in school, and him basically knocking him down in school and that type of thing, and calling him a freak or whatever, his dad a freak or whatever, for murdering his mother. So again, I don't know if that's why. I don't know if he's just trying to be the bigger man, and I don't really know. I think the intention is he just wants to impress Iris and that type of thing, but even as kids. But again, it falls very flat because they don't give an explanation as to why he hates Barry this much this episode. On the other hand, there's a couple developments that I like this episode. One is the whole Joe and Wells situation. Joe is investigating the case about Barry's mother's murder. He asked Dr. Wells if there's anybody that could have existed before the particle accelerator exploded that would have given somebody powers that could have killed Barry's mother. He believes that this man in yellow theory is a very plausible theory that somebody could have killed Barry's mother at super speed. Wells denies this because he needs basically like a cover story to cover his secret up. This was an interesting thing. I understand. It's a very predictable thing, obviously, because we know that Wells is the villain. He's just trying to cover his ass in the end. But the way he does it is, basically he brings his, late wife Tess into the picture. This type of thing. Wells had to, leave his memories of Tess behind after she died. And he had to start over in Central City as a new person. This actually, in theory, does work in execution, I feel like. But obviously, we know that Wells is the big villain. So, when you're watching it now, it doesn't hit as much. But I get the intention, and I like the whole drama they set up between Joe having doubts that Wells could have killed Barry's mother, and Wells not believing him, as Wells is that type of guy that, let's just say, Central City has a lot of rapport with. Like, they don't like him for blowing up Central City in the end with the particle accelerator explosion. He's the type of guy that nobody wants to drink with nowadays. Nobody wants to be seen in public. So it was nice to see that Wells had somebody to go outside of Star Labs and have a drink with, because it's something that we don't really see from him. He's always cooped up in Star Labs and his work and that type of thing. He stayed hidden after Tess died. He told the detective to look her up if he wants answers, that type of thing. So it was a nice little drama and a nice little storyline they had this episode, with Joe having to make amends and being like, I'm sorry. I know why now you decided to stay in Central City and you couldn't have killed Barry's mother. Obviously, we know that's not true, but still, like, it was still a nice moment to have. The other moment on top of it was Barry and Eddie actually ended up getting to work on a case together this episode, which I appreciated. It's something we never really got to see them do and team up. Now that Joe's off on the side investigating Barry's mother's murder, it leaves Eddie and Barry in a way where they can work at the Central City Police Department as partners, trying to take down this bully, this type of thing. It's a way for basically Eddie to sympathize with Barry this episode about childhood bullies, that Eddie was actually somebody that got bullied and picked on. He was like the son of a politician. This development was the only time we actually got to see, I think, throughout season 1 of any sides of Eddie's backstory, and I would have loved to have seen some more from it. He was the son of a politician. He got picked on as a kid, this type of thing, but we never really know who his dad was. All we know from him is that he's a transfer from Keystone. It doesn't really work on paper because we don't really know anything about his life growing up in Keystone, which is a missed opportunity for the show. I know it's not the Eddie show, it's about the Flash, and Eddie's just a character they made up for this show, this type of thing, but I would have loved to see if they're going to have this kind of development, make him stand out as a police detective, because on paper, he's just either Barry's partner, Iris's love interest, or he's just like Joe's partner in execution, all this. But he just falls flat as a character. I do like this little development they give between Barry and Eddie, this type of thing of them wanting to blow off steam. Them really want to take down this metahuman, but, police, some like states take over and paperwork gets involved, it gets complicated for them, and it screws with their cases. And obviously Barry wants to take down this metahuman because this punk, as Joe puts it, put him through hell as a kid, this type of thing. But again, it just falls flat for me. I wish there would have been more to it. But overall, I would say this was probably my least favorite episode of The Flash so far this season. They didn't really do anything to humanize Tony. They just made him another punk-ass kid for him to target Iris, this type of thing. And just basically go and take down the metahuman, this type of thing. I did like the ability that Barry got this episode of him punching from like 5.3 miles an hour, or 5.3 miles away at like 837 miles per hour. I think it was like Mach 1.1 or Mach 1 or something. Was pretty nice to see a new ability he got to unlock this episode. But I did hate how they kind of made Mach this type of thing into more of a joke, because it was just like science talk. Like, none of this is real. So I don't know how accurate this would be, if them just punching would hurt him and that type of thing, because he still in the way has a broken arm and this type of thing. Same with Iris. So it was funny, but it was still a nice ability. I think Barry training with the little robot girder thing to try to take down this bully was funny, but was I mean, it wasn't funny. It was nice to see him trying to train and try to get better, but he just was too powerless to stop it, that type of thing. But yeah, overall, I'll probably go ahead and give this episode at least a 4 out of 10. I thought nothing stood out to me, nothing was special. But let me know what you guys think. What was your favorite and least favorite part of The Flash Season 1, Episode 6, The Flash is Born? And if you enjoy the review, as always, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys in the next Geek Reviews video. Peace.